spark and put the icing on the cake with a triple. Sure, Mabry, the dagger, boom!
Nicholson, the go-ahead bucket, Townsville complete the comeback of the season.
Round 9 of WNBL action continues in Victoria's largest city. We're in Ballarat for Saturday afternoon WNBL as the Perth Lynx host the Bendigo Spirit. The Lynx, based in Ballarat, which is about 90 minutes south of Bendigo, providing an opportunity for some Spirit fans to head down the highway and support their team in this Saturday afternoon clash. As we welcome you in to Saturday afternoon WNBL, Jason Bennett alongside world champion Opal Jenny Screen. Jenny, great to have you with us. And it's been a bit of a strange old week for Perth because they've had the WA border restrictions suddenly shift the goalposts. The future of the season's up in the air and they've had to get their head around that.
It'd be so frustrating for them. You come out to Australia thinking you're going to be in one of the greatest cities in Australia, in WA, and then you have to be relocated. But it's no different to any other sporting team. We saw the Perth Scorchers. They won last night away from home. The Perth Wildcats are the same. These girls, unfortunately, just have to adjust their mindset. And they're doing a great job, to be honest. You know, they've got a great record. They've won 5 on the trot. It's just going to be up and down days. And hopefully they'll just get better as the season goes along.
Yeah, Ryan Petrick saying this week that he's not sure whether they'll come out and be exhilarating or they'll be as flat as attack. They'll just have to play it as they see it. They have been wonderful, though, as you said, 5-2 over the last 27 days. This is their 8th game in 4 weeks since that delayed start. They enter in second position. They're stacked with talent, but no Marina Mabry, the league's leading scorer, is out. They're going to have to make up for that this afternoon.
Huge loss for them. I mean, we know how impactful she has been. We've got her stats lined up there. They're pretty impactful in only the 9 rounds that we've had her this season. Exciting for Perth Lynx, but at the same time, this gives an opportunity for other players. Sammy Wickham, she's been, I think, below par because of the scoring power that they have through Young and also Scherf. But then also we've got some nice punch off the bench with Alex Scharf, Alex Chiabatoni as well. They'll be looking for some bigger minutes and responsibility tonight. But if I'm Bendigo, I'm excited that Mabry's not playing, and hopefully that gives them a little bit more energy to hopefully get away with a win away.
It is a list that's stacked with talent. We see the starting 5 there. Jackie Young had a bit of illness early in the season. She's getting better week by week. Darcy Garvin's having a fantastic season. Lauren Scherf, one of the most damaging tools in the comp. They've got all the pieces.
They do indeed. The only thing that I would remark them about from their game that I called the other night was their defense intensity really lacked against the Southside Flyers. Yes, they did come away with the win, but I think Ryan would be asking more of them. They've got the punch offensively, but if they're really going to be a true contender for the championship for the WNBL 2022, that's where it's going to be the difference.
You spoke of defensive intensity. Well, that's the hallmark and the foundation of the Bendigo Spirits game. They've been clobbed by COVID, as many teams have. This is their 4th game in 9 days. They also had a month off as they dealt with those issues. They regained Tessa Levy from the protocol. Maddie Garrick's back from the rolled ankle. They've lost Piper Dunlop. She injured her knee at training. She'll have scans on Monday, but they do play that fast, aggressive, in-your-face small ball.
And they have to, because they don't have the talent like the Perth Lynx do. So, you know, and they're running off the back of Annalie Maley. She's been amazing, phenomenal for me all season. I'd love to see Maddie Garrick step up, and hopefully we'll see a great game from her today. And then Megan McKay, she's finding her feet as well, but it's been hard for Tracy and her coaching cohort to get this team going, and hopefully they can transfer that 5 losses that they've had in a row to a win today.
Well, it's time to welcome in the 3rd member of our broadcast team this afternoon. She's back on home ground in Ballarat. Good afternoon and welcome courtside, Megan Huswaite.
Good afternoon, guys. No surprise, it was actually raining here in Ballarat this morning, which is very on brand for the wonderful city. But this stadium here is state of the art. It is new. The locals have been getting behind Perth Lynx, and it's wonderful to see because it is a proud basketballing town, of course, having produced 2 WNBL and Opals greats in Robin Marr and Alison Cook.
Yeah, it's one of those wonderful regional centres of basketball in Australia. We have so many. One of the upsides of all the dramas and hassles and scheduling chaos we've had is that places like Terrelgan and Ballarat are starting to get a little bit of an opportunity to see some elite level basketball because there's been such fantastic players come through these zones.
Oh, the pedigree that we have from regional. Chrissy Harrow is another one from Bendigo. We know how good she has been, also her father. And it is great that they get to go, and people that probably don't get to go to the basketball very often, whether it be WNBL or NBL, get this opportunity to see world-class athletes. And they are, to be honest, they are world-class athletes playing this great game.
If you haven't seen the Perth Lynx play this season, they play pace and space is their philosophy, Jenny, which you can talk us through in a little bit more detail. It's not a traditional, I guess, women's style of game so much in terms of he's borrowed it from NBA playbooks directly, and he's trying to do something that's a little bit different to make defences have to defend differently.
Well, pace and space, the pace is the first 7-8 seconds of the transition or the offense that you have. So they have the calibre of talent to be able to get out and run and push. And then when you've got someone like Lauren Scherf in the key way attracting attention as well, that gives them the opportunity to hit those long shots like Mabry has been doing and the like. But Bendigo's going to have to stop their transition game today.
Round 9, Saturday afternoon action. The Lynx and the Spirit from Selkirk Stadium in Ballarat. These two teams meet for the first time this season. Great to see Tessa Lavey back in action. Alex Wilson, really important pickup for them during the season. Garrick's back from the rolled ankle and draws the early foul.
She looks pretty good. She's moving pretty well. I mean, it's only the first play of the game, but that ankle injury that she endured a couple of rounds ago was not nice to watch. I couldn't. But nice to see her being impactful in the first play of the game. They're going to have her being really, really, I guess, aggressive both ends of the floor if they're any chance to win.
Really important, that experience that comes from that trio of Garrick, Alex Wilson, and Tessa Lavey. No Leilani Mitchell. She's pregnant. She's missing the rest of the season. Speaking of experience, Sammy Whitcomb, Chabatoni, Garben. Here's that quick movement that Jenny was talking about. Jackie Young trying to keep the defence one step behind. This is Chabatoni. Scherf, Whitcomb, 3. That went through about 6 pairs of hands.
It did, and that's what they're good at. Perth can score from multiple angles, multiple positions, and it doesn't matter whatever night of the week it is, they're going to have someone at the top of the scorer's board that's different. Nice ball movement from them, and nice to see Sammy hit one early.
Long 2 for Garrick is good. Good start for Maddie Garrick. Back in action. Hasn't been a great shooting year for her so far, so if she can get hot this afternoon, that'll be enormous for Bendigo's chances. Young, slick to Scherf.
And that's going to be the battle for Bendigo today, is to be able to stop or, control the dominance of the Perth Lynx in terms of size through Scherf and Garben and their inside presence.
Wilson receives from McKay, who's going to have a power of work to do as one of their talls. There she is under the hoop. Can't reel this one in as Garben dishes it off to Whitcomb. Beautiful find through traffic. Scherf can't finish, but that was a lovely look from Sammy Whitcomb. Maley, one of many rebounds coming up this afternoon. Lavey sets up for 3, can't make it go. Scherf tidies it up to Young. Guarded by Garrick. Scherf puts the screen on, just gains her a couple of steps. She gets to the free throw line, off to Scherf. Again, can't quite finish.
Pick and roll action seems to be what Perth are going to go to today. Obviously, defensively, Bendigo are probably lacking in that area. So it'll be interesting to see how Bendigo adjusts. And right now, I think they've done a great job.
Wilson for 3. Long-range shooting's been a bit streaky at times for Bendigo. If they can get those to drop, it's going to make an enormous difference on the scoreboard. And just in terms of hanging in the game or even putting a little bit of unexpected pressure on Perth. Young receives from Chibatoni. It's Perth at the other end at the moment, not being able to finish their opportunities. Maley scrapping as always. Garrick, McKay, Wilson waits for support. Maley to Garrick. McKay thinks about the 3, gives it 2 or 3 thoughts, eventually pulls the trigger. Scherf brings it down the floor. Chibatoni. Chance to get more minutes for her this afternoon without Marina Mabry. Garben sets up. Went to find Chibatoni. Body contact from Garrick. Ball spills out.
Well, you spoke about pre-game, about the mentality and the approach that Perth are going to have with this game. Apart from Sammy Whitcomb's first play where she hit that 3, we haven't really seen... Oh, that was a great job by the production company.
Right on cue.
But they've missed really easy looks, 3 in total, and defensively, again, they're lacking for me. So their mindset will have to change early in this first quarter to continue the great run that they've had thus far in the season.
Great start for Bendigo. They're up by 4 early. Scherf, the long shot, the long 2, she makes it. And she's just so damaging, isn't she, Jenny? She's one of the few bigs in this league who can crash and bash on the inside, then step out and hit a long shot.
She can, and that makes her versatility really hard to guard. I'm pretty critical of Lauren Scherf because my expectations and want and desire for her to wear the green and gold are pretty high. I've seen her at the at the World Uni Games, and I know what she's capable of, and I just wanted to be able to continue to get better, and especially around the paint. That's where she struggles the most. We've seen it already through 2 play phases, missing early shots. If she can add that to her game, and I say this time and again, that takes her from being a good player to a great player and very hard to stop.
That's it, courtside. Here's Megan.
Alex Sharp into the game for the Perth Lynx. It's a huge opportunity for her today. She's had an incredible NBL 1 season out west, winning everything. Today she gets a big chance.
Opportunity to get a few more minutes, Megan. She was averaging about 30 a game last season, but now with all these other stars arriving, she's down to about 16 a game. So a chance for Alex to get some court time. And Annalie Maley, speaking of emerging young stars, she's emerging as quickly as anyone.
Yeah, it's like the analogy, nice little inside-outside move from Sammy Whitcomb, very smooth, but going back to Annalie Maley, it's the analogy or the cliche, it's not the size of the dog, it's the size of the heart of the dog in the fight, and she's just all heart. She goes 100%. I remember seeing Annalie play at the Australian Junior Championships at under 16 for Victoria Metro when I was playing for Adelaide Lightning back in the old ages. And I was like, who is this kid? She was, you know, dominating, cleaning up the boards. She's undersized, but she just gets it done. And it's really lucky that Bendigo have her, because without her, it'd be an interesting season for them.
She's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, isn't she? 185. She's got to be one of the best 185-centimetre rebounders we've ever seen.
Phenomenal, and that's what I love her about her, is she's willing to do the blue-collar work, but even so, with that, she's also averaging 19-plus points a game, which is absolutely phenomenal for her.
That's a side of her game that's really improved, that offensive output. She's always been really strong defensively and strong doing the physical stuff. Lovely little floater there from Tessa Levy. Great to have her class and experience back. Bendigo by 3 as we hit the halfway mark of this opening term. Good start from them. Taya Burrows, another youngster who'll get a bit more court time today without Mabry out there. Whitcomb tracks a crowd, dishes to Garvin, and she finishes.
And that's what hurts. Perth Lynx, like we spoke about with Sherp, the ability to not only dive off the pick and roll, but to pick and pop. And we know Darcy Garvin, she loves to pick and pop, and she's been shooting absolutely phenomenally. I think at 43% from the 3-point line this season.
Might go, and here's Garvin involved again, off to Burrows. 20-year-old from Bunbury in southern Western Australia. Off hands, Maddie Garrick arguing it should be a Bendigo ball. Here's another look. Tracks the crowd, Garvin open, and she finishes. Here's that last play. Maddie Garrick claiming it was off Perth, but it will be a Perth ball, and Sharp will have the inbound. Whitcomb being guarded by McLean, finds a way through but can't quite finish, and Bogue off to Maley. Tries to get to the rack herself, does. Really tough finish from there. And Garvin with the board. Whitcomb sets up, wants to take on McLean, gets some support D from Garrick, but she just shoots straight over the top of it.
That's just tough. Tough basket for Sammy Whitcomb. We know with Mabry out today, who's averaging 22 points, that we're going to see probably Sammy Whitcomb have a bit more impact in this game, and she's doing that with all class in this first quarter.
She's feeling it early. Sammy Whitcomb already up to 9 points. Alarm bells ringing for Tracy York. Coach of the Bendigo Spirit celebrated her birthday this week. Annalie Maley. Perth suddenly up by 4. Tough fadeaway there from Garrick, won't go. Gouldy into the game, tidies it up. 3.5 left in the opening term. McLean from long range. Cassidy McLean, 1 from 8 for 3-point range so far this season. Generally not her go, but has been jacking up a few longer range shots.
And here's Sammy Whitcomb seeing probably the more disadvantage in McLean, having to go one-on-one. And she goes, I'm going to take the junior on and show them what I'm capable of. And it'll be exciting to see her back in the green and gold in a couple of weeks when the girls head to Serbia for the World Qualifiers.
Whitcomb brings it down the floor again. Once again, it's McLean with the job guarding her. Here's Young for the long 2, makes it and 1.
That didn't look very good. I mean, Alex Wilson stepped under her cylinder as she came down from that jump shot. We know she's a great, phenomenal jump shooter. She had 9. I can't watch this, so you can watch it, Jason, relay the information to the...
You were spot on.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. Alex stepped into her cylinder. And just for the viewers at home, can you explain the cylinder?
Yeah, absolutely. So the cylinder, you're allowed your own space. So when you're jumping and those type of things, or taking a charge, you're allowed to have a pretty much a cylinder if you think around you, and no one really can step into that space, to avoid situations like that where someone can come and step underneath you and you land on their feet and roll an ankle. And it can be quite torturous, and coming down like that after a jump shot, it can be quite painful. Hopefully she can walk it off, because she's actually progressed really well as this season has gone on. She's found her feet in terms of where she belongs in this team, and she seems like she's shaking it off. I'm sure Megan will give us a little bit of an update, but she was huge for them against Southside Flyers, had 19 points.
Yeah, so as the shooter, you're entitled to land on that piece of real estate where your foot last took off.
That is yours.
And Alex strayed into that zone. As we head courtside, here is Megan Husway.
Well, it's a busy bench down here at Perth with Jackie Young, as you just touched on and we saw, but also Taya Burrows came off just a few seconds before with a bit of a hit to the head. So the Perth support staff saw to her. She seems to be okay. Jackie Young's still sitting at the bench. Her teammates are just getting around her, including Marina Maybury, who obviously isn't playing today. But Jackie Young walking back out onto court now, so hopefully a good sign for the Perth import.
Great, thanks Megan. That is a good sign. Wasn't a complete roll. Jenny, I know you looked away, didn't see it. Nowhere near as graphic as Maddie Garrick's last week. It was kind of just like a 45-degree roll, if we can put it that way. Not the full 90.
Well, most of these girls have probably all rolled their ankles once or twice anyway. If you're at this level, you probably have. So hopefully she's got a little bit of laxity in there.
She finishes the play with the extra point. It's a little dangerous time here for Bendigo. It started so well, but Perth have just sneaked out to a 7-point break with 3 minutes left in the first. Maley from the free throw line. And those shots that were dropping for them early aren't right now. And the reverse can be said for Perth. Again, we see Whitcomb draw a crowd. This time it works. Bogue the intercept. Maley gets to the arc. Wants to share it around. Wilson wants to drive. Kicks it out. Goulding hits the long two rather. Well worked.
Yeah, nice poise there by Goulding. I mean, Alex took the advantage. Sammy Whitcomb tried to fly the lane for the steal, put the ball on the floor, and had a nice little easy finish there from Goulding. And like you talked about, this is the danger zone for Bendigo. The first 7 minutes I thought were absolutely sensational for them. Now they've got to start to string those stops together again and put the ball through the net to stay within touch for Perth.
Good ball movement there on offense. They get a stop on defense. Just like that, momentum and belief can flip. Margin back to 5 with possession. Get it back into a manageable margin once again. Wilson wants to take Ash Eisenbarger on.
Alex is she's been around a while. You know, she's played for Sydney Uniflame. She's been at the Adelaide Lightning as well. She's a Murray Bridge junior. She's played for Australia at the under-17 and under-19 level. The girl can play. I don't think she's hit the peaks that I think she could. And, you know, hopefully she can in this opportunity that she's getting with Bendigo, a late signing. She's only had 3 games with them, but she has the ability to shoot and drain it from deep, and her athleticism can get her to the rack as well.
Rare miss from the free throw line this season. She was 12 for 13 up until then.
Nice little fun fact. I had that written down.
Figure we may as well get it away. We can tick that one off. Here's Whitcomb. Long ball, aggressive ball to Young. And a comfortable 2 there for Perth to grab some momentum back. Margin back out to 6 as we hit the 2-minute mark in the opening term. Saturday afternoon NBL from Ballarat. The Lynx and the Spirit. Well, the seas just parted there for Alex Wilson. Couldn't get the finish, and in the end it will be a Perth ball as we head courtside to Megan Husway.
Well, Tessa Lavey is bringing a new definition to the term busy. She was out of isolation in Melbourne yesterday, drove to Bendigo, practiced, to Ballarat today, back to Melbourne tonight and to the Gold Coast tomorrow to play for Richmond.
That's a fairly hectic weekend by anyone's standards. And here she is with ball in hand right now. Lovely find to Maley, couldn't quite get the finish. Sharp brings it back down court for the Lynx, off to Eisenbarger. Young moving smoothly once again and finishing as well.
And that's her game. Mid-range pull-up J is where she gets most of her buckets from, or hit into the rack. If I was Perth, I would consider, you know, giving her a little bit more space, telling her or in wanting her to shoot that long ball, because we haven't seen her drain it a lot from 3 compared to Maybury, the other import signing that they have.
Goulding, Lavey. Long range shot is good. And once again, Bendigo managed to just cling to a reasonable margin. Scherf with size against Bogue. Bogue did enough. Mainly off to Levy. Once again, Tessa from long range.
Oh, yes! If you don't mind, obviously travelling in the car, there's no repercussion on Tessa Levy as she drains back-to-back threes.
Maybe she's had a hoop in the backyard during isolation. Has been putting up long shots. Marching back to 3, and a chance now for Bendigo to close even closer. Last 15 seconds of the term, Wilson kicks it out. Now for 3 to tie it up. What a last minute from the Spirit. Final play. Whitcomb senses Scherf. Long ball from Lauren won't go. And at quarter time, we are locked up. The Bendigo Spirit with a fantastic finish to that opening.
To everyone who said we're not strong enough, not fast enough, wrong. We're crossover queens, scoring buckets, taking names and hitting no-look threes. We fight for every ball. And do we dunk? Hell yeah. When we roll onto the court with nothing to lose and everything to prove, you're in for a show. She got style, she got balls, she got belief, she got game.
Well, basketball's FIBA's flagship competition, the FIBA Basketball Women's World Cup, is heading to Australia this September. 10 action-packed days at Sydney Olympic Park. 12 powerhouse nations battling it out for the world title. For more information, visit womensworldcup.basketball. What a tournament to look forward to, and the build-up to that over the next 6 or 7 months is going to be absolutely fantastic. Jenny Screen. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, the Oz 94 was the last time I think we played on home soil in terms of a tournament in preparation. So to be able to see the cream of the cream, or the top athletes in the women's basketball in the green and gold on home soil, you can't get anything better than that. And, you know, they're coming off a tough Tokyo campaign. And hopefully, you know, Sandy was at the game on Thursday at Dandenong watching the Southside Flyers and the Perth Lynx go at it, which have a few potential opals wanting to put their hand up, but it could be a very different lineup to Tokyo.
Spots are up for grabs, aren't they? The rest of this WNBL season is going to be more important than ever in terms of the makeup of this national team, as Taya Burrows gets first possession of the second term, which is all tied up. Off to Young. Double teamed. Scherf takes up position in the post. Young, Scherf now kicks it out, receives from Garvin rather, kicks it inside from Young, and that's that inside-outside ability of Lauren Scherf we discussed earlier.
Yeah, absolutely, but for me there, the best thing about that was the defense from Bendigo. I think they did a great job. They hustled, they rotated, they found a way, and then caused the turnover from the Perth Lynx, which was absolutely sensational.
Well, Megan Huswaite, that first quarter looked to be slipping away for Bendigo. They got themselves on even terms. What was the message from Tracy in the huddle?
Lots of energy and positivity in the Spirit huddle. She was really happy with how her team have been taking and making their chances come off in that first term. And just for Perth, Sammy Whitcomb and Alex Chipotoni on the bench to start this quarter, with Gandini and Burrows on the court.
Thanks, Megan. Tracy, vocal as always. Levy off to Goulding. Height of Garvin telling there. And Scherf, the quick release. They've got the 2-on-1, and it's Young who makes that long-range 2 you spoke of, Jenny. Just so smooth.
Absolutely smooth. I haven't seen a better one in the league this year in terms of the ability to pull up at speed the way Jackie Young does. But then we've got to make the adjustment defensively. Make her get to the rack, or pull up her earlier on the three-point line and make her shoot it from deep.
Young up to 9 points. Whitcomb has 9 as well, while Wilson and Levy both have 7 apiece for the Spirit. All short. It's Emma Gandini. Her third WNBL appearance. Off to Burrows. Garvin. Inside to Scherf. Wants to use her size on McKay. Spreads it to Gandini. Thought about following the shot in, but it was good.
Yeah, and you can see how excited Sammy Whitcomb there is on the bench supporting her younger, youthful teammate in knocking down that three. But great look and recognition because Bendigo were doubling down on Lauren, and for her to find a teammate there was really great.
Wilson goes the long ball. Foul on Lauren Scherf. So Emma Gandini, 27-year-old from Perth. Her first season with the Lynx. She's been around the WA scene for a long time, won a championship last year in WNBL 1 with Willerton alongside Alex Sharp. She's got a full-time job. She works as a bookkeeper, so they've had to schedule all their team meetings and training sessions around her work.
Yeah, and I think that's great, and the ability to improvise and adapt like this team has and work around someone like that, because she wouldn't be on the big bucks like the Sammy Whitcombs and the Jackie Young, as we see, getting a nice little layup back cut there to add to Perth Lynx score. So it's nice that they're able to do that and accommodate players like that.
That's where the passion comes from when she scored. All her teammates so delighted for it to be out there and scoring. And in the blink of an eye, Perth have put the first 6 points of this second term on. So once again, it's a little danger time here. Maley triple teamed. Wilson, shot clock down to 3. Wilson looking to get a shot open. It'll be a long 2. Maley in best position. Bendigo going to the line. Once again, Adelaide Maley's ability to get that 185-centimetre frame into the right position.
Yeah, that last offensive set was just a little bit lackluster from Bendigo. They didn't really have the structure of what we've seen. Their ball movement was a little bit stagnant. So hopefully they can make those adjustments as we go on further in this second quarter. I'd love to see them continue to penetrate, kick and find. Their speed against Perth is probably their advantage, and hopefully we'll see that.
So Lady inbounds to Wilson. Off the ball foul. As Garrick tries to work her way through some traffic. So, a bit of a stoppage in play over the last 30 to 45 seconds. Probably helps Bendigo. Perth were out and put 6 points on them pretty quickly. This has just settled things down a touch.
Yeah, I mean, great credit to Bendigo hitting those 9 points or 3 back-to-back threes. Back-to-back threes. Kept them in arm's distance. But Perth are going to have to rotate pretty heavily today, considering the loss that they've had, and potentially Jackie Young, seeing how she goes in the rest of the game with that ankle that she endured in the first quarter.
Scherf pulls down another rebound. Whitcomb calls for Scherf to come to her. Burrows to one side, Garvin the other, inside to Scherf, out to Whitcomb. Lovely ball movement from the Lynx.
You know what's lovely are the Ballarat Stadium rims. I've called a few games in Ballarat now, and Megan, I don't know what's down there at those rims, but if you're a shooter and you can shoot, these rims are just nice.
Inside to Scherf, outside to Whitcomb. And Sammy's up to 12 points. Young's got 11. They're sharing the load for Perth, while Wilson and Levy have 7 apiece for the Spirit.
And that what makes them so versatile. You know, the ability to kick it in, collapse the defense, and then kick it out and get that rotation on defense and get those open shots. That huge three, that NBA range three that Sammy Whitcomb just hit.
Here's Tracy York.
You're coming off nice and hard. Just hold it. She takes it out of your hands. But girls, anything that we're doing on the last one where you came up and we had Eucla and Alex has got it, just come set an on-ball from that side and she'll go centre on-ball up on that reversal. All right? We can't be standing still.
I got a
all right?
in the tail. It was a perfect example. We gave it a little bit earlier, and then I gave it back straight.
Come on, let's get stops, girls. Let's get on the rebounds. Here we go.
And that's a pretty good point about getting on the rebound. If we're going to be critical at any point in this game about Bendigo, is the rebound count 14-9. You know, they've got 2 offensive rebounds to Bendigo, not crashing the boards like they used to. They rely heavily on Maley in that capacity. Would love to see a few other girls get in the paint as well.
Maley off to Levy, back to Maley. Margin out at 9 points once again. McKay. Bendigo scoreless so far in this term. Levy sold it, but she was going to give it off with her eyes and took it to the rack herself, but couldn't finish. Burrows to Scherf. Just that size advantage, and Maddie Garrick fouls.
And there's that pace game, you know, the ability to get the ball off the rim, turn and go. Most of their players on their roster, especially on the court at the moment, can get the ball and go. It doesn't have to be in the point guard's hands, and that's what makes them so hard to guard. And then when you've got someone like Lauren, who's 6'4", running the middle lane that hard, that's tough for Bendigo.
Let's head to Megan courtside. She was in the Perth huddle.
Effort-based defence is going to be the focus in these final minutes of the second quarter for Ryan Petrick's team. And Screeny, just to answer your question, speaking to Alison Cook last week, or Alison Tranquilli, Nee Cook, the rings here certainly aren't like they were at the old Minor Dome back in the day. So state-of-the-art facilities all around.
It's a beautiful stadium up in Ballarat. An area, as we've discussed, that fully deserves it. Tipped and out, so it'll remain a Bendigo ball with 6:24 left in this first half. Margin sitting at 10.
Huge couple of crucial minutes here for Bendigo. This was similar deja vu to the first quarter, probably a little bit less in time in terms of the score, but they've got to either get some stops and get some good looks at the rim to keep within an arm's distance of Perth.
Maybe Garrick pulls it in. Garrick with 4 points. She's back going herself. Out to Wilson. Guarded by Garvin. Shot clock expires. Perth ball.
And the thing is, they're getting some good looks. I mean, Tracy York would be happy with that ball movement. They're just not getting the finishes at the rim, or the ball's not going through the net as much as they'd like. But they're not as stagnant as they were a couple of possessions ago. But shooting at 35% compared to 59% from the field is the biggest difference between the two teams right now.
Chippertoni off to Whitcomb. Tries to sell the shot to Wilson. Good ball movement inside out again. Finishes with Eisenbarger. Doesn't drop for the Lynx. Wilson, can she accelerate and push the pace? She's got options forward of the ball, and Skinner delivers. Just stepped into the game, Demi Skinner. Lovely way to start.
And there's nothing to lose there. I mean, you know, get the ball and run. Take the leaf out of Perth's book and what they do. Play at pace. Bendigo, they've got nothing to lose against a team that's probably going to be fighting for the championship right now.
Bogue tidies up the Garvin shot. Garrett gets a screen from Bogue and slips away from Burrows. Wants to go herself, almost loses control, just gathers the handle in time. She's got Skinner to her left. Flips it to Bogue. Shot clock down to single digits. Levy sets up. Wants to take on the youngster Burrow. Nice work from Chippertoni. Shot clock expires. Levy says, hey, it's off Perth, but...
And here you see nice rebound from Alex Wilson, just pushing out, running 4-on-5. She was able to slice through 2 and find her teammate nice and deep in the corner for a nice 3-point shot.
With Bogue nicely positioned under the hoop, should it not drop for the rebound.
Thank you. You good, Barry?
Chippertoni will get the inbound as we hit the midway mark of the second term. Perth by 7. Whitcomb and Levy. Pressure from Garrick on Young. Turns. Tries to go to the rack herself. Did, but didn't finish. Bogue dishes it off to Levy. Tess is so critical. Her experience, her talent, her scoring ability, her hustle. Skinner. Wilson. Back into the hands of Levy. Once again, we hit 5 seconds on the shot clock. Levy's got to go here. Good defence from Eisenbarger. Right to the second. Can't get the shot to go. Whitcomb cruises down the floor. Gets the screen from Eisenbarger. Takes on Bogue. And finishes.
I was about to say tough D then, but that was just even better offense in terms of to take that hit from Bogue, who's obviously the bigger, stronger type of player from Sammy Whitcomb, and then have the mentality to still put it on the rim and finish like she did.
Not much more Carly could do there. That shot from Levy off the front of the iron. Here comes the smooth-moving Young once again, just glides across the floor. Guarded by Skinner, they switch over now, and Garrick takes the defensive job, and Young just pops one over the top. Margin out to 11, Young up to 13. Lovely find from Levy. Bogue all alone under the hoop. Margin back to 9 once again as we close in on half-time. Great vision and execution through traffic.
Yeah, you can see Maddie Garrick just took the attention of about 3 Perth Lynx players with her because of the calibre of talent she is, leaving Bogue open. But Bogue, credit to her, she set a great screen there for Maddie Garrick as well and got the reward.
Once again, the benefit of movement on offence. It's Coach Ryan Petrick. Let's take you inside the Perth huddle.
Sam, again, Jackie in a corner, Chipper at the point, Sam in it. Again, get it slightly lower, find a way to get to the elbow, hit it, come off it, get out. The real action's the on-ball and play. Again, the quick dive. They're playing small ball. So again, Bogue, Skinner and co find lows of the rims right now. We good? Let's play, hands in. Keep playing D.
Nice, simple instructions there from Ryan. The girls are doing a great job at the moment. 38 points deep into this second quarter. Bendigo are hanging around. They're hanging around. If they can just get a few consecutive stops here on the defensive end, be able to not let the shot clock get too deep on their own offensive end and put themselves under pressure to get better looks and then better opportunities at offensive opportunities in the rebounding count, then we could see a game on our hands in this second half.
Spirit bring the pressure. Lynx get it into their front half. Chippertoni wants to take on Garrick. Scherf sets up for 3.
And that's tough. It looked like, Bendigo came out of that timeout, just changed up the defense a little bit. Looked like they're in a little bit of a 2-3 zone there. That's the worst thing that can happen, is that you see the zone and your eyes light up as an offensive player and you just want to hit a 3, and Scherf did. Double-figure
margin now. It's out to 12. They finished the first term so strong, the Spirit. They need to do that again here. Garrick. She sets up for the response.
I'm telling you, these rims are making these girls, they are great shooters, but even better shooters, I reckon.
Last year it was the overhead fans in Mackay. Remember, no one could make a long-range shot. We've got shooter-friendly rims in Ballarat this year. Not this time for Whitcomb.
And how's that? 185 centimetres going up against a 190, probably 193. Getting the rebound of the defensive end against Scherf, being able to go full court, put the ball on the floor as we see here. Sammy Whitcomb, as I'm just talking about, goes up hard against someone bigger and stronger than her, puts the ball on the floor, gets through 1, gets through 2, draws a foul from the 3rd and was able to get herself to the foul line.
11 centimetres she spots Lauren Scherf at 196. Annalie Maley plays tall. She's got a remarkable vertical leap, great timing. Great body use, really strong, deceptively strong.
Absolutely. She reminds me a little bit of like the Rachel Spawn types, very lean in terms of their stature, but absolutely strong. But for me and Annalie Maley, the way she plays, it's just her mindset and her determination.
Real terrier. Scraps on every play. Here's Whitcomb enjoying a really good first half. She's up to 14 points. Enjoying a few more offensive looks without Maybury there. There's another 2. 16 for Sammy. Suggested in the press she was playing a decoy role. Ryan Petrick shut that down yesterday when we spoke to him. Said she's not a decoy, it's just a case of we flip it through hands and whoever's got the best shot takes it. And Sammy's been really selfless this year at finding teammates in better positions. Today she's got more license to go herself. That shot from Maley won't go. And they're getting it into Sammy's hands at every opportunity, and why not? She's hot. 5 for 6, 16 points. Chippertoni, sharp, and she's a sharpshooter as well, Alex Sharp.
Really good punch screen action, whereas a screen happening on the strong side in the first 8 seconds, and then that feed and kick out again. Nice little quick air pass from Chippertoni as well to Alex Sharp, finding her being able to drain 1 from deep.
So back out to 12. Shot clock to 5. Maley steps back for 3. Off the front of the iron. And Garrick, an important offensive rebound. Tries to feed it through to Bogue. Back out to Goulding. Through some hands here. Skinner went to Goulding, just too much on it.
And that's probably the difference right now if we compare offensive phase to offensive phase. It's just that lack of execution here. We see a nice little screen, punch screen from Lauren Scherf, draws the D in rotation. Nice kick out, 1-2 punch. causes the rotation. Alex Sharp had her feet ready and set, whereas Bendigo on the other end, they just get lost in their structure and don't get the ability to get some nice looks.
Young, once again, the big body of Scherf close by. Throws it out to Gandini. Not this time. Follows up, gets her own board and draws a foul against Maley. Emma Gandini.
Definitely make the most of her opportunities right now. She hasn't seen a lot of court time this season. In fact, not much at all. And the ability for her at the ripe old age of 27, as you said before, to come in, take the open shots, do nothing special, but take the open shots when they're open, but then follow it up with an offensive board like that. You can't ask anything more from a coaching perspective.
She's based her career around being an elite defender, a real defensive pest. Her whole game's based around that. So for her to be able to put some points on the board will be a real bonus for Ryan Petrick coming off the bench.
And it's nice that she's a native Perth WA player as well, you know. It's so hard sometimes. Perth went through a big struggle there. The only championship they won was back in 1992, but they've had some amazing teams and amazing players. But to give back to the community and have players on your roster that are from your state is really special.
Maley, jumper won't go. Down to 22 seconds. Scherf wants to push the pace, but Garvin not on the same page, which will allow Bendigo a final play here.
You can see the girls having a laugh on the sideline, probably thinking, why is Scherf passing to another big girl right now, running the floor, you know, just waiting to you know, get the play and the structure happening rather than a point guard.
Not exactly the way they drew it up. Clean with the inbound. Final play of the first half. Levy. Important points on offer here for Bendigo as they try to just hang tough and stay in this contest. McKay came across to set a screen on Whitcomb. Levy happy to let it get down to 3. For the long range 2, it won't go. Sharp with the board. And at half-time, Perth have extended with a very impressive second term. It was all locked up at quarter time, 24 apiece. Perth have added another 24 in the second term. Consistent offense from them. Bendigo restricted to just 10 points. So the margin at the half, 14 in favour of the Lynx. And there is Ryan Petrick, maybe just talking to Lauren Scherf about her future as a point guard.
Absolutely. I mean, she could do it occasionally, but that probably last phase is Ryan's going, yeah, let's just find our point guard and give it to her instead. 16
for Sammy Whitcomb to the half, 13 for Jackie Young, 9 for Scherf. So those three big names have been the pillars of their offence, and they've all had plenty of ball in hand. They've all found points.
Oh, they have, and it's nice to see them all step up. And as we spoke about and we continue to speak about, it doesn't matter who has the ball in their hands at the end of that shot clock. Whoever's going to take the shot will take it, and they're shooting at a great clip at the moment.
Speaking of Jackie Young, 13 for the half. Here she is with Megan.
Well, Jackie, we won't keep you long because you've got to get that ankle taped. How is it?
It's all right. Just trying to play through it. Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Tough first half out there, but you'd be happy, I'm sure, with the team spread.
Yeah, we're just trying to come out and get off to a good start in the first half. The last 3 games we've had to fight back in the second half, so we made an emphasis to come out tonight in the first half and just try to get a lead, and that's what we did.
How good is it to see someone like Emma Gandini, one of your teammates, come onto the court off the bench and make an impact like we saw her do in that second term? Yeah,
it's great to see her out on the court. She works really hard in practice every day, and so I'm glad that she's getting the opportunity to come out here and play, and it shows that she's putting in the work.
We're loving your work. We'll let you go and get that ankle strap. See you in the second half.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Thanks to Jackie Young. 13 points for her in the first. For average points per game in the WNBL, behind only the great Lauren Jackson for anyone who's played 50 games. So she's averaged 20 points a game in her career, only 11 points a game this season. The question was asked, was she a decoy? The answer from Ryan Petrick, no, she's just selfless. But today, more opportunities, more points.
Absolutely, and she is a selfless player, and that what makes her great as well. Not only can she put points on the board, but she can distribute the ball and find teammates as well. But today, she's stepping up in the absence of Mabry and getting it done. If it isn't from deep, she's finding the ability to take either younger guards on and penetrate and get herself to the rim and find some tough buckets. But you'd love to play with her. Her energy, her tenacity, her smarts. She'd just be fun to play with, and I think the Lynx are so excited to have her this season.
And the flip side, so difficult to play against. How do you guard Sammy Whitcomb?
It's tough because she has that ability to drain the shot. She's really quick on her release and shooting. For me, try pushing it to her right hand potentially. She does like the left hand drive a little bit more than the right hand side, but hey, I was a defender in my day and I'm not sure I could have stopped her at all. But it's nice to see having a rippy at first half in this one.
Yeah, you could have.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Well, no Marina Avery, as we mentioned, the league's scoring leader this season. Speaking to Ryan Petrick, the coach, during the week, he could not be more glowing in his praise for what his US import has done so far this season. She's been so impressive. She caught up with her own Megan Huswaite pre-game.
Well, Marina, you're not out there today. Why are you sidelined?
Just general foot soreness. We have a week coming up, so I'm going to get a little bit extra rest, hopefully recover a bit better.
You've had an incredible start to the season personally. How would you assess your form to date?
I try to base it off our wins and losses. Like, obviously, I have personal goals and things I want to get better at just as a human right now. But, you know, the general rule of thumb is like, did we win the game and stuff? And what can I do to help us win better? So the last two losses, I feel like I could have done better. But in our wins, you know, that's really all that matters.
You're so exciting to watch. You're such a fierce competitor out there. Do you get a bit of white line fever? Do you sort of become this different athlete out there to how you might be off court?
I feel like I'm just really competitive, and that's like the kind of spirit I bring to the game, and that's a lot of like what makes me the player that I am. So I try to just bring energy and like that competitive nature to my whole team. And once I get off the court, though, like everyone always says, like I'm completely different.
Now, you and Jackie Young signed pretty early in the piece with Perth Lynx as their two imports. How did you come to sign with the club?
My agent just called me and said they had like a great offer from Australia, and kind of just looking at the WNBL and seeing the competitiveness and the spirit of the people here. I like the energy that's here in Australia, and like coming here to like live, learn, grow, like do everything out of love. I feel like this is a great place to do that. So, and then Perth obviously is beautiful, so that was a plus to sign here.
You've only had a little bit of time in Perth pre-season, but I'm sure you're looking forward to hopefully getting back there soon and enjoying a WA summer, but more importantly, home games.
Yeah, I know the Perth fans really want to see us play, and that was like an important factor because we have such a great team of like great talented players, and that's kind of sad to see the fans not be able to see that live because, you know, it's their city, and we're here to entertain them. So hopefully we can get back into Perth and put on a show for them.
What are you enjoying most about being part of this Perth team?
I feel like just the talent level of our team, all the way down from the first man to the 12th man, just everyone's such a great player and an even better person. So I just love being here and getting to grow and learn more about the game as such a young player with all these talented players and experienced players.
Perth have won just one title in their WNBL history. What would it mean to have the ultimate success with this team?
Honestly, like that's the goal. Like I said, the wins and losses are what matters, and we have such a talented roster, and combined with experience, competitiveness, and a great coach and great staff. So I don't see any reason why we shouldn't win, and just go out there and play as hard as we can, and I think we should come out on top.
Set the league alight to start your WNBL debut campaign. We love watching you. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope to see you out there next round.
Thanks for having me.
Marina Mabry averaging 22 points a game, and great teams, they step up and cover their best players, and we're seeing that this afternoon. Sammy Whitcomb and Jackie Young have both stepped up in the first half to give the Perth Lynx a 14-point lead over the Spirit at half-time. We'll be back with the third quarter action right after this.
We're thinking of grabbing a bite tonight. Any new places close by?
Well, actually... Oh, and there's also...
Oh.
I think 20's enough.
Yeah, that should do us.
Set for second half WNBL Saturday afternoon action. It's the Lynx by 14 points in Ballarat. And Jenny Screen, what age were you when you first hit the basketball court?
I was actually 14 when I started playing, so I was a
late bloomer.
I know, a little bit older, but played an array of sports when I was younger, but it wasn't until I was 14. I wasn't one of these 6, 8-year-olds doing Aussie hoops and all that kind of stuff, but one of the greatest games I've ever played.
Well, Aussie Hoops, you mentioned, it's a national junior participation program. Kids aged 5 to 10, a chance to get out there and sample basketball, hit the court, learn some fundamentals, not only about basketball, but about life. You can find more information at aussiehoops.basketball. Find a program. Registration's now open as we start the second half. We start with a Megan McKay 3.
Hey, we saw her take one in that first quarter because they're playing so deep off her because she's not known for her ability to shoot potentially from outside the keyway, if we're being honest. But nice to see her have that confidence, just go, you know what, I'm going to take this, and she nailed it.
Just her 4th 3 for the season. Scherf looks to respond. Her 4th shot at 3, I should say, for McKay. She's now 2 for 4. So she just caught them napping at the start of the second half. McKay off to Garrick. Now she goes for the long-range shot. Whoa! Perfect start here for Bendigo.
Feel like it's deja vu from that minute and a half we saw at the first quarter. They went 3 triples in a row, and now we've gone from 14 points back to 8.
Young to settle things down. Puts a couple in for Perth. Margin now sits at 10. One thing we've learned about the Spirit, as Maley goes back and finds that pass from Levy, which was behind her. They've got plenty of pluck, plenty of grit. They keep on fighting. Maley, McKay, Levy wants to take on Shibatoni, now kicks it out to Garrick. She draws a couple of defenders. Tough shot from there. Scherf with the rebound. Whitcomb, great first half, 16 points for Sammy. Off to Garvin. Young, Whitcomb, draws McKay, opens up the lane but can't finish. Maley off to Levy. Garrick sets her feet. Wilson calls for it. Another fine long-range shooter. Great start to the third term for the Spirit.
And this is keeping them in the game. Oh, as we see Tessa almost come up with a steal there and a putback, but this is keeping them in the game. That the ability to penetrate, find some players around the rim, move the ball with speed, and get those long closeouts from the bigs like Lauren Scherf. But it's the defensive end like that, yet again, that's their 20th point in the paint. They're not owning the paint, whether it be through their post defense or their ability to contain the ball one-on-one, and that is something they're going to have to clean up in this third quarter.
Eric McKay, Wilson back to McKay, tries to get to the hoop, draws a foul. So Megan McKay has to do a lot of that grunt work at 190 centimetres. But as you say, there's just a huge gaping lane wide open for Chippertoni.
But offensively, their pick and roll action, their ball movement, they've been a bit stagnant in the second quarter, but to have 43, almost 44 points, or not 40, we just gave her the...
You said almost.
Almost 44 points, is good. You'd be happy with that as a coach, you know, with 2 minutes off the clock in the third quarter. But 52 points, you're heading for a 100-point ball game as Perth right now.
And it's been the ups and downs. They did a great job. The Spirit, I think they held the Boomers to 58 in the game they won in round 2. That's the template. Just stay at it for 4 quarters. Relentless pressure. Whitcomb wants to take on Levy. And does it well.
And just does it too easily. That defense, the change up, the pick and roll action. You wanted Sammy Whitcomb coming over those screens. She's too quick and too explosive on her left hand to exploit you baseline in those scenarios.
Nice little find there from Garrick to McKay. Marching back to 8. Whitcomb kicks it out. Young, Chippertoni. Scherf puts it on the floor, goes herself. And that's the potential of Lauren Scherf. A big who can crash and bash inside, shoot the long ball, put it on the floor, take it to the rack herself. She's got all the tools.
She does indeed. It's just about finishing a little bit more for Lauren Scherf, and she'll be able to go to that next level. But right now, Bendigo have got to find something within on that defensive end.
Again, too easy for Whitcomb to get to the rack. Levy. Maley. And a foul. As Annalee hits the floor.
Nice to see Annalee take the ball off the elbow there for a rip and go, but too easy. I mean, Bendigo don't even have foul problems. They've got 4 fouls for the game, so if it's me, I could at least have a little bit more intensity or assertiveness. If you're going to come into my keyway and penetrate, that's fine, but I'm going to let you know about it. And I'd love to see Bendigo just, you know, have a little bit more aggression, put some girls on their backside and earn a bucket, but they're just getting layup and layup at the moment in this third quarter.
Annalee Maley, what a season she's having in Opal's calculations, and it'll be fun and exciting to see her in the green and gold. Brings a totally different dimension to that squad.
Very different. I mean, she is having a great double-double season, averaging 19 points, 15 rebounds a game. Just from a national game, superb. Internationally, it's hard to see because she plays that undersized 4-man, as we've seen Megan McKay coming up with a nice steal for Bendigo. But, you know, the opportunity's there, and why couldn't she not take it?
Wilson, long 3 is good. They have got some streaky shooters like Alex Wilson and Maddie Garrick, and Tessa Levy can hit outside shots, and we've seen a couple of times in this game when they get hot, they can put points on in a hurry.
They can indeed, and that's Alex Wilson's, what is she? 4 of 5 from deep, pretty good from her. We know she has that X-factor ability, as we see a nice defensive set from Bendigo there in that passage of play. Now can they convert it on the offensive end?
Maley, a lot of traffic in front of her, so she pulls out. Sets it back to Tessa, who gets to the 3, draws the defender, Chabatini, gives it to Garrick, down to 5. She can get to the hoop, but can't finish. Jackie Young, 15 points. Ankle breaker on Wilson. Smooth as ever, Jackie Young. To Maley, to McKay. Now Garrick, guarded by Garvin. Nice screen from McKay, opens Maddie up, and she drains it.
I was about to say, Maddie's been a bit quiet. You know, this is her first game back from rolling that ankle. She's probably going to be a little bit ginger and fatigue and reaction time, but that's her 13 points for the game. She's 3 of 4 from deep and keeping Bendigo within range right now.
They're on a 6-point run. The margin is back to 6, and Garrick has it again. Gets to 3, sets the feet. Well, that would have been a big bucket.
It would have been nice. I would have been up out of my chair cheering for them on that one.
So Whitcomb off to Young. Long 2. Basket's just not quite dropping for Perth right now.
But I'm okay with that pick and roll action. They went under on that, and I think that was one adjustment they needed to make against Young. She's got 17 for the game, 8 of 12. Her mid-range game is phenomenal. Whilst that was a long 2, go under on her. She's not going to hurt you from the 3-point line, or will wear that. as a coaching cohort if I was Bendigo.
Active hands on defence. Causes the turnover for Perth. Young went to Garvin. It was a lovely look-away pass, and the foul comes.
You can see that pace, that push and want, and just gets Alex Wilson tied up with her feet, but got to do a better job in defensive transition. Bendigo across all positions on the field, on the court rather.
The field of battle.
Yeah, we'll go with
Very
that
poetic.
one. Thank you.
Sharp. Eisenbarger. Garvin.
We haven't seen much of her tonight. She has her minutes have been limited, but in the minutes she has played, you know, she's taken her open shots. She's done a really good job from the field. She's only got 6 points, but she's 2 of 2 from deep and a couple of rebounds as well.
Wilson. Won't go. Wickham sits on 20 points, leads the game. Young has 17. Wilson and Garrick have 13 apiece for Bendigo. This is Garvin. Sharp again. Garvin the putback, not quite. A scrap. McKay manages to get the hands free, releases the ball to Maley. Wilson sets up for 3. Steps inside, kicks it out to Levy. Won't drop. Sammy will set up again. Margin now sits back at 9. It's been swinging in both directions in this third term. Eisenbarger wants to take Maley on. Well read by Wilson. One-on-one with Whitcomb. Lays it in.
Nice little in the lane steal there from Alex Wilson. It might be the turn of momentum that they need in this last 2 or 3 minutes. They haven't been able to capitalise since that first quarter of when it was 24 all to head into the second. But now see if they can capitalise on that little bit of momentum from that defensive stop.
Averaging 8 points a game in her first 5 games, Alex Wilson. She's up to 15 tonight. Foul called as Whitcomb wore one in the midriff.
And that's tough. You can see this pick and roll action. Megan should have come out a lot higher on that action. Sammy's too good a player to just play in that drops there or that no-show. And then defensively, they've got to come across earlier. You know, Sammy loves the left-hand drive. Goulding did a great job to get across, but didn't get across quick enough and further out from the keyway. But tough finish from Miss Whitcomb, shall we say. Talk about a player who's got game. Hashtag she does have game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Both physically and mentally, such a competitor.
And talk about mentally for her, you know, signing back in Perth, gave up the opportunity to play big bucks in Europe and the like, and to be with her partner and her child back in Perth, and the borders are closed. I could only think what it'd be like for her, and missing those opportunities.
Yeah, frustrating summer. Goulding looks for the reverse, draws the foul.
They're just hanging around. They're finding a way, Bendigo, and they've done that for most of the season, haven't they? I mean, you called a game against
Townsville last week.
When
they were like 15 points down, and they got back within 2.
Yeah, and yet they just have that fight in them. I guess they're undersized. They're under, in terms of talent for talent. You know, they're definitely down on talent compared to Perth on paper, but it's nice to see them have that fight, and they're just hanging around right now. They're just hanging around.
Spirit by name and nature this season, no doubt about that. They're really scrappy, up for the fight at all times. Sometimes the game gets away from them structurally and in terms of execution, but they just keep on grinding away. Gandini, Young. Guarded by Garrett, goes left, sets up. Doesn't get the user-friendly bounce. Goulding, hassled by Gandini. We mentioned she's a defensive pest. Ryan Petrick says she's an elite full-court presser. Drives the American imports crazy at practice. In their face the whole time. They all pulled away from McKay, so she took another look, but couldn't make this one. Burrows, one of the youngsters. Scherf for 3. Off the front of the iron, almost took Garrick's head off. And it will be a Perth ball as a result. It's Tessa Levy. She changes the shoes, or maybe just got a bit of strapping on the ankle. Off the front of the iron for Scherf, straight into Maddie's mush. Once again, we get to those important last moments of a quarter. It sits at 8 right now. Perth would love to extend that back out to double figures. Can Bendigo eat into it in the final minute? Burrows goes herself, draws a foul. Taya Burrows, 20-year-old from Bunbury, south of Perth. Played her local ball with Southwest Slammers and Rockingham. Her 3rd year at the Lynx as a young developing player.
Nice action and bravery from her. Just did a nice little inside out on that left hand. Got Goulding, crossed over on her feet and found herself at the foul line. She's averaging 10 minutes a game, 4 points, a couple of rebounds there to boot, and nice to see her making the most of opportunities. We've spoken about when big players are out and your stars are out, your bench have to just be ready, and she's doing most of that, as are the like of Sharp and Chia Batoni as well.
Opted out of her senior year at Washington State this year, Taya Burrows, due to COVID uncertainty, to stay at home. Here is Goulding, important 3, she makes it.
And that's why they're hanging around. They're just able to find the bottom of the net from deep. 11 of 24, 46%. Just get some stop, ladies. Get this stop here and keep it under 10 points.
Burrows loses the handle, coming off a major back injury, so she spent most of her time the last 4 or 5 months rehabbing rather than playing. So great to see her getting some minutes. Ryan Petrick with some confidence in the youngster. Foul there. These are the opportunities to get a bit of depth into your team, and Ryan looks at a player like Taya Burrows and says, look, she could be part of our program for many years to come. These minutes are golden.
Yeah, absolutely, and the same could be said for, you know, Goulding and Cassidy McLean for Bendigo in the yellow uniform. Some great play from them. Cassidy had poise and composure to find Goulding and for her to knock down that 3 as well.
So with the last 25 seconds, 2-second differential between game and shot clock here. Lady sets up. Really important play this for Bendigo. Can they come up with some points here and close right back in on Perth? Levy just checks her footing, a little bit of moisture on the court, sets herself for 3, huge shot. Rattles off the front.
I think Tessa Levy has enough speed there to go one-on-one and take that player without needing a pick and roll and bringing anyone else into the action. I would have loved to have seen a flat set there and seen her put on the jets and get all the way to the rim.
Gandini to Burrows, wants to go quick. The half-court shot from Taya Burrows hits the rim but won't drop. And as we head to the final change in Ballarat, it's Perth by 7 points. Their lead at halftime has been halved. The Spirit showing plenty in that 3rd term. It's Perth 68, Bendigo 61. Three-quarter time in Ballarat. This is Saturday afternoon WNBL action. The Perth Lynx taking on the Bendigo Spirit. The Spirit coming from 14 points down at the half to close within 7 at the final change. As we head courtside, here's Megan Huswaite.
Well, I'm with 2-time Olympian Leilani Mitchell, who was an interested onlooker today for Bendigo Lay, and gee, they're putting up a hell of a fight.
They are. I mean, I don't think you can ever question the girls' effort. So I'm really proud of them so far, and hopefully, you know, these next 10 minutes go well for them.
Now, you're not out there, of course, for the remainder of the season because you're pregnant. Congratulations. When are you due and how are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm due the beginning of June, and I've been feeling pretty well. Stomach's really starting to grow now, so I'm getting a bit uncomfortable, but I know I still have a long ways to go.
Yeah, wonderful news. Congrats to you, your partner Michaela, assistant coach of Bendigo, and Cash, loving all the action as well. We'll let you get back to it. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Cash.
Thanks, Cash. Thanks, Megan. Thanks, Leilani. Best of luck for the road ahead for you. As We start the final term. We come off to Young. It's a really good third term from Bendigo. They halve their lead. Can Perth now hit the accelerator once again? Jackie Young finds it early.
And she's been the difference for me on that pick and roll action. 19 points, matching her performance against the Southside Flyers now from Thursday night. Just her ability to have that range in the mid pick and roll and pull up Jay has just been hurting Bendigo tonight.
Swarming defence there from the Lynx. Garrick was looking for an option, gave it to Goulding. Now Levy sets up for the jumper. Crash and bash under the boards, and to the surprise of absolutely no one, Annalee Maley hits the floor.
Yeah, as we see this pick and roll action, they did a good job on the switch on the first one, then Annalee just got caught, just not sliding enough. I'd really like them to see play under, go under that screen, push up from the big, and challenge Jackie to take the deep three, rather than always getting the shot that she wants, which is that mid-range.
Jen, explain what you mean by push under the screen.
So we want to see the big to be able to push up their screener on the offensive side to give space for the guard to get under. As we see McKay shooting a nice little jumper in her range. She's had a really good night tonight. But on the defensive end here, we want to see them push up the big, like McKay there. Bit of show action on that one and rotation from Annalee Maley. Oh, almost a stop. To allow the guard defender to go under quickly and assertively to then be able to pick up their offensive player again. Now that's the shot you want Megan taking, is that mid-range elbow jumper where she's known at. Great to see her adding the three-point game to her caliber of talent as well, but I'd love to see her put an up fake and shoot that mid-range as well when people aren't respecting her from deep.
Averaging 11 points a game this season. She's up to 8 so far this evening. Whitcomb for three. Not quite, but Chipotoni's there to give them a second opportunity. Scherf off to Whitcomb. McKay in her face. Young, so smooth from three. Not quite. Now another opportunity for Bendigo. On a 4-point run right now. Margin sits at 7. Garrick with some handles around Chipotoni. Is McKay in support? Double dribble called?
Yeah, she picked it up. Had great penetration there. Probably could have kept her dribble alive a little bit more. We know she loves to have the dribble in, or the ball in her hand, but then just no one moving to where she wanted them to go. But let's talk about the third quarter. 27 points for Bendigo in that third quarter, and they only had, what, 34
for the half, yeah.
So huge third quarter for them. And
why the difference?
I think execution on the offensive end. Perth, obviously, they shot the ball a little bit poorly in that third quarter and didn't have as many good looks. And then that three ball, they're draining it from deep. You think they're just out of touch in that 10, 12-point range, but 44% from deep, 11-25. That's what's keeping them in this game.
Young draws the foul on a shock down Annalee Maley. She'll go to the line and shoot two. Marching back out to 7. Maddie Garrick having a good night. She's back up to 15 points. Back from an ankle after rolling it last Friday night.
Talking about ankles, this young woman on screen did hers in the first quarter. But again, just making a mockery of the pick and roll defense, is she? Jackie Young, 21 points. Look at that clip, 10 of 17. And having a night out in the absence of her fellow American teammate Marina Mabry.
Still not at 100% fitness according to Ryan Petrick, just getting better by the week, and as her fitness improves, so does her game. What an upside she has. Chipotoni, here is Young, lovely little feed through to Scherf, who couldn't quite control it. So another important stop here from Bendigo. Plenty of time, 7.5 on the clock. We saw them come from 15 down against Townsville at around about this time of the game last week and close within 2 before the Fire managed to settle late, come away with the win. So they have got that belief, Bendigo, that if they stick to it and make shots, they're never out of it.
No, they aren't, and especially when Maddie Garrick is on point. 18 points now for the game. Probably her best game for the season. Yeah. She hasn't really hit her straps yet like we think or know she should, but really nice performance. She's well above her average from 10 points for the season.
And without Leilani Mitchell, really important that the likes of Garrick and Levy step up, and Alex Wilson all had plenty of ball in hand tonight. This time it's Levy.
Again, it's deja vu, first quarter, third quarter, and we're gone from, an 8-point ball game down to a 4-point ball game on the back of back-to-back threes from deep from Levy and Garrick as well.
Off the ball foul against Maddie Garrick.
I'm okay with that foul. You know, up the intensity a bit, up the aggression a little bit. You've only got 5 fouls for the game. No one's in foul trouble. As we see Tessa Levy draining that beautiful three. Nice screen from Megan McKay there. But they need to up their defensive intensity and cause a few stops or turnovers.
Young, tough shot, won't quite go. Maley hauls in another rebound. Her 10th. Closing in on double-double territory again. Turnover mid-court. Chippertoni, important. 2 points coming up. And Annalise says, let's just stop the clock because I've hit the floor and there's going to be some moisture that needs to be tidied up. So some confusion there between Tess Levy and Annalee Maley, and Chippertoni took full advantage.
Uncharacteristic turnover in transition there from Levy, and then you've got Maley just taking advantage of having a nice little breather because she probably needs one. She's been working hard for her points tonight. Below in terms of her scoring output, but making it difficult on the defensive end is she for the likes of Garvin and Scherf.
He brings it down the court once again. To Maley. Execution critical here for Bendigo. Garrick for three. She's been feeling it tonight. Not on that occasion, a little heavy. Garvin to Whitcomb. Sammy sitting on 23 points, had 16 at the half. Goes herself, then kicks it out. Chippertoni from the corner. Great response from Perth.
Huge response, but lack of knowing the scout. Left-hand drive there from Sammy Whitcomb. We've seen it all game. She's avoiding that pick and roll action. She's just, you can see Tessa waiting for it, wanting it, and not setting up her feet appropriately, allowing Sammy that nice driving lane, but again, being that selfless player that we know she can be, and finding her teammate for that three.
So margin back out to a more comfortable 9 points for Perth. They've managed to keep Bendigo at arm's length for most of the afternoon. Tracy York will set her troops for one last surge down the stretch.
Great. Let's really read that. We want it offensive board if we can. I want Pistol, and I want us going at Ali's side so she can be looking at being a driver on the rim. We know that if she gets covered, we'll get our shooters in the corner. So let's have a look at that for one, Pistol, and I'd like us in squeeze for you off another, all right? But the ball just keep making them play you defensively. If Young comes back on, I want you on her, and I just want you face guarding her. She's dangerous from anything in here, guys. All right? If we come off a screen, we'll just have to flat out switch. All right? Make sure. Good.
Interpret Ginny's screen.
Look, you know, offensively, they just want to get some ball movement and action. They're going to look at Maley for a little bit there on some offensive sets. Defensively, they just need to try and lock up Young. They're going to face guard her, try and keep the ball out of her hands as much as possible. But right now, Perth have gone on a 10-0 run in this last couple of minutes, and Bendigo need to find a way.
So Maley off to Levy. Margin sits at 9. Just over 5 minutes remaining in the final term. Garrick. Again, a little heavy. So important a couple of minutes here for Perth. They just want to put this game out of reach. Break Bendigo's spirit, if you pardon the pun. Chippertoni to the corner. Sharp. Back to Chibber. To Garvin. Contests against Garrick, wins it. Chippertoni gets to a good position. Foul called under the hoop.
Nice strong rebound there by Alex Sharp. She does a good job of that. She averages, I think, around 2 offensive rebounds a game, but good recognition, though, from her bench teammate in Alex Chippertoni, just seeing that long closeout from Megan McKay, who's probably got the slower of foot, and taking her to the rack and being able to put it on the rim.
So Alex Sharp turns 25 next Friday from the Diamond Valley in Victoria. Spent some time at the Centre of Excellence in Canberra, then went to Wake Forest, went to college in the States. Her second year at the Lynx. Had a super 21 after a really solid WNBL campaign last season. Was the MVP of NBL 1 over in the West during the winter.
And you've got to think what she's going to learn from having players and teammates in the likes of Whitcomb and Maybury going against them every single day and training week in, week out, that's only going to make Alex a better player. She's 25. A female player doesn't really reach their top or caliber until they're around 28, so she's got plenty of time, and she's got a great physique on her as well.
Got some experience at the Asia Cup with the Opals last season as well. So margin at 10. Down to 4.5 minutes. Scherf from the corner, back out to Garvin. Wants to take Maley on, thinks better of it. Down to 3 seconds. Whitcomb. Great defensive effort. Levy turns it over though. Sharp just picks her pocket. Again, Sammy happy to take some time off the clock here and to slow the tempo of this game down. They're sitting on a 10-point lead. Looks for Scherf, kicks it out. Here's Sharp. Couldn't quite land the dagger. Bendigo will keep on coming. Under 4 minutes. Levy, Maley adds 2. Margin back to 8.
Nice little find there. 2 points went to Maley, but nice little screen there and decoy from Megan McKay to allow her the space and no one to close her out on her.
Chippertoni takes on Wilson. Garvin in the corner. Big 3, that one.
That was big. Talk about a quick release. She caught it in her shot pocket, which is, you know, above the logo of her singlet, was ready to go and doing what Darcy does well and draining it from deep.
So margin back out to double figures. Now it's about game management and clock management for Perth. Bendigo are going to have to get hot once again. We saw them pile on 9 points in a minute at the end of the first term. Whitcomb calls for Scherf to come towards her. Garvin looks to set a screen on Levy. Moving screen on McKay as we head courtside. Meeks.
Well, it's a big couple of days for Darcy Garvin, Sammy Whitcomb and Annalee Maley. They head off to Opal's training camp tomorrow in Sydney ahead of the final team being selected for the World Cup qualifying tournament in Serbia at the start of next month.
And that's going to change the whole dynamic of the league for a little while with some of the best players in the competition all the way on Opal's duty. So we've seen the beauty and the power of having depth, as Perth have shown today. The ability to have that depth to cover some of your prime movers disappearing is going to be important.
Well, I just think it gives opportunity to other players, you know. A door closes for some and it opens for others, and hopefully these players that normally don't get the minutes that they would like are ready to snap it up and take those opportunities with both hands.
It's Perth by 11. Here's Ryan Petrick.
Shibalow, Sam High. Yeah, hey? Sorry, no, I changed it. No, apologies. Sharpie, my bad. No, Sharpie. We're good. Jackie, Sharpie, Sam. Again, we're in boogie. Again, zipper cut, catch it. Again, you're first. Again, catch it. Then again on the screens. Sam goes next. Slip it, get out. Again, we're going back if you need to get the pick and roll. Defensively, again, blue to over. If it's up near half court, you can go under that one. The 3-point line's an over. Let's go. Hey, I want plenty of get McKay here, mate.
Ryan Petrick, been around basketball all his life. His dad was the president of the Rockingham Flames, prominent club in WA back in the 90s, so he's grown up around the game, was the assistant coach of the men's program from 2005, then head coach of their women's program, head coach of the men's program, 5 years as an assistant coach at the Lynx, and now his second year as head coach. So he's put in the years.
He's earned the opportunity that he's got and definitely put a calibre team together, so credit to him. And obviously his assistant Robbins, who was a great player for Perth in his own right for the Wildcats in the NBL, and they're exciting. For me, they're the dark horse, and when they play like that, with passes like that, off pick and roll actions like that, then they're going to be tough, I tell you. It could be 2 championships coming WA's way.
Scherf lays in another 2. She's up to 15. Critical response there from Bendigo. Margin back to 10. They just hang around. It's in their DNA. They need some stops here. Can they make a late run? Or will Perth put this one to bed? Again, Whitcomb happy to just slow the tempo, take time off the clock. Nothing rushed. Scherf adds another 2. Just got to get through their offensive sets. Perth do nothing special. It's Bendigo that have got to come up with something, and Levy comes up with 3.
right now they've got to play up. They've got to be in the lanes, and Alex Wilson is supposed to be denying Jackie Young, you know, straight off that back of three. It should have been full court D, denying Jackie Young, keeping the ball out of her hands, but they're just playing back and not giving themselves opportunities on the defensive end to find a way.
Megan Huswaite was in the Bendigo huddle at our last stoppage. Megan, what was the message from Tracy?
Stops and rebounds, certainly the focus for Bendigo. Tracy York also asking for Meg McKay to really lift in terms of inside presence in this final few minutes.
Margin now sits at 10. Jackie Young up to 23 points. It's been such an impressive performance from Young and Scherf and Whitcomb have all stepped up to cover the absence of Marina Maybury, the league's leading scorer, out today with some foot soreness, having a rest. Levy to Garrick. They need to drain some long ball. Scherf, her size has just been such a factor at both ends of the floor this afternoon. And Whitcomb happy for the slow build. Scherf runs into Maylee. No whistle. Scherf kicks it back out to Garvin. And they get another look to burn a bit more clock. No panic at all from the Perth Lynx. They've sat on this lead in the final quarter. It's been a really professional closeout of this game. Garrick just behind Maylee. Once again, you'll see Whitcomb take it to half court and just sit on the shot clock. Garvin. Young. Back to Whitcomb. Shot clock to 5. Finds Scherf in the lane. Can't quite make the pass, but the damage is done. They've taken the time off the clock. Levy hustles, gets to the arc, and hits another 3. Tess up to 16 points. It's been a good performance from Tessa Levy, coming in cold after coming out of the protocols. Hasn't missed a beat. Yeah, what a freak she is.
Yeah, she's done really, really well, considering she's going between 2 codes. And hey, it's a credit to both codes allowing her to do that at this level. And you know, she's had a huge one tonight.
And the Lynx continue their winning way. They've won 4 on the trot. They moved to 6-2 for the season. They're certainly shaping as a team to beat in 2022. Next up, a blockbuster clash with the Boomers next Sunday in Traralgon. So a little bit of time to rest and recover. Well, it's unfortunately 6 straight losses for the Spirit. They've earned a much-needed 6-day break, though. They've had a really heavy schedule themselves. They'll rest and recover before a visit to Adelaide to face the Lightning next Friday night. But a professional performance from the Lynx, and we mentioned this word a number of times throughout the call, execution.
Yeah, absolutely. And talent. I mean, they have the talent to be able to execute. We know Maybury was out. Young was sensational. Averages 11 points per game, 24 this evening. Scherf was pretty quiet. You know, she had 7 points in that first quarter, but you look again and she turned around and she's got a double-double, 17 and 16 rebounds to go with it. In Bendigo's scenario, there were some shining lights. I think they had moments of brilliance in terms of their ability, but they just don't have the talent, unfortunately, that the Perth Lynx do.
Damage was done in that second quarter. It was all square at quarter time. 14 points at half-time to the Lynx. Bendigo then cut into that margin. 7 points in the third term. And in the end, the Lynx only won the last quarter by 1 point. So Bendigo actually won the second half, the damage, and tied the first quarter. The damage was all just done in that second term.
And it was the defensive end. Lynx had 90 points. That's not going to get you a win in the column that you need from the Bendigo Spirit. 82 points. They were great. They had 38 points off the bench, but 90 points, that ain't going to cut it.
Talent and leadership from Sammy Whitcomb this afternoon. She finished with 23 points, and here she is with Megan.
She is a star of the Perth Lynx and the WNBL. Sammy, that is a great win today. The work was done in the second quarter, and as it turned out, it held you in enough stead.
Yeah, look, we just needed to play some defense, honestly, get some stops. It was kind of going back and forth. Offensively, you know, we have a lot of weapons, but we had to lock in defensively. I thought Gandini came in off the bench and really proved that. to us, put some pressure on the ball handlers. We started to rebound a little bit better, and I think that was really the difference.
Now, you are modest as they come, and you've described yourself as the decoy a few times, but it was Sammy time today because Marina was on the sidelines, and you'd be happy really to get into your work this afternoon.
Yeah, it was just nice to, I guess, step up when they needed me a little bit more. Obviously, you know, we have a really good team across the board, not just with Marina, but Marina takes a lot of attention. She's so skilled. She's so fun to watch. You find yourself watching her yourself as a teammate sometimes. But today, obviously, we were without her, so we needed everybody to step up a little bit. So, you know, today I just took that opportunity.
In the last week, Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne, Ballarat, and 4 wins. It's been a huge week on court for your season record.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, I mean, you know, we started the season with that loss and then kind of 2 weeks of sitting around. So we were keen to get some games under our belt. And I think, you know, there's still lots for us to work on and improve on. But to get the wins each time, even though we are kind of sometimes digging ourselves a hole and shooting ourselves in the foot, it's, you know, you're always pleased with the win.
You opted out of your contract in France to come home, be with your partner Kate, who got a awesome teaching promotion in WA, and your little boy Nashi. You came to Adelaide and then Ballarat thinking you were going to be here for a few weeks. How hard did the border news hit, and how are you? How are you feeling?
No, I mean, honestly, I was a wreck. I was crying a lot when that news was announced, just because obviously it puts a lot of unknown back into my life and our family's life, and I know it's hard for a lot of people in so many different ways. So it was really frustrating, really hard, because obviously, you're right, I came back to be with them, and it was something I was really excited about. So we're back to kind of waiting and seeing, and that's just a really uncomfortable place to be in, you know. So hopefully we get some news and we get a pathway to knowing when we can go back home. But yeah, I feel for everybody in WA right now.
A nationally televised game today. Kate and Nash are watching. What would you like to say to them?
Oh, I love them. I miss them. Nash is actually probably not watching. He's probably shooting hoops himself because that's what he does. So hi to everybody, though, back in WA. Thank you.
Congrats, Sammy, and thank you to you and Perth Lynx for the sacrifices you're making for our season.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.
Well said, Megan. Thanks to Sammy Whitcomb. 24 points for Jackie Young, 23 for Whitcomb, 17 for Scherf. So they 64 points from those 3 players. They built their game around those 3 today. And then they had really valuable contributions from others coming off the bench, playing their role, and that's what good teams do.
Yeah, 33 points. We spoke about Bendigo had 30 points off the bench, and both teams shot at a great clip for the game. The biggest difference, obviously, the rebound count was huge. You know, Bendigo a bit lackluster there. Turnovers, Lynx could have been a bit better with the ball, but 11 and 8, you'd be happy with any of that, especially Bendigo Spirit. They averaged 16 per game. So in terms of ball possession, they'd be really solid there. But in terms of the rest of the game, 90 points per game is the difference. They'd be able to get the stops for Bendigo. We've spoken about it. That was the difference for me.
As we heard from Megan a moment ago with Sammy Whitcomb, it's been a real roller coaster week for the Perth Lynx. Ryan Petrick, another with young family at home, his wife Chelsea and his daughter Jada, who's only 9 months of age. It's been a tough week for him as well, trying to pull all the pieces together and keep that group together. They've had a win this afternoon. They're not allowing it to impact them on the court, which has been remarkable. And here he is, Ryan Petrick with Megan.
Well, Ryan, you were just getting a bit of a G up from your cheeky Perth Lynx players, giving you a round of applause as you came up for interview. Good to see spirits are still very high in the Perth camp, particularly after a win.
Yeah, we'll deal with that post-game. There are a bunch of comedians after a win, which is always nice to see. But yeah, no, we'll take it. That wasn't pretty at all. But and in fairness to Bendigo, like they shot the 3 at 48%, so it's not bad going. But yeah, we have some areas we badly have to fix.
Still digesting the stats. You've got the stat sheet here. So, but the work was done really in the second quarter, and that was able to hold you instead for the game. But I'm sure there's a lot you want to. Oh, you're giving me the look.
No, not you. I'm giving my team the look. There was just the ways they were scoring, like going under in our drop coverages, and the switches weren't steer switches, and yada yada yada. It's like, guys, at any point here, and that's 4 games in a row now we've stressed to them. Like it's got to half time our last 3, like even, and then put it in second gear and blown away. And same kind of thing here, guys. Like at some point, like can we put it into 4th or 5th and put a team away early for a change? And well, they did, and we're fine.
I'm looking forward to when you play a 4-quarter performance and we can interview you.
No, that won't happen. So, well, and we're just chasing like that. What are we doing in the second halves in the first? Like, and especially the first quarter, like we did against Canberra at Canberra. Like when we just cruise and it's like, okay, we'll start trying now. That's not a stress-free way of living.
Well, it has been 4 wins in 4 different cities in a week, so that's a nice stat.
No, we'll take the positives. But it's just the we just keep making the same mistakes. And that's probably the issue we're more concerned with. Is like, guys, like we need to find different mistakes to fix. It can't be the same thing 8 games in a row. So we're getting there slowly. Offensively, we could put them in the worst offense of all time and they'll find a way to score. But can we defend anybody? And that's been our challenge now, 4 games in a row.
Let's talk family. You spoke during the week about how your little Jada, she's just turned 1 and she's threatening to walk, and you were talking about how emotional it is being away from your wife Chelsea and Jada and potentially missing her first steps. Sure they're watching at home. Would you like to say hello to your girl?
Yeah, Jada and Chelsea, if you're home, miss you guys. I don't want to talk about it too much because I'll start crying. No, they're fine. I think she actually took her first steps today. So, but again, as long as those 2 are fine, I'm fine. So ring Chelsea every day and everything's good home. Like, again, the split second she says, oi, get your backside home, because this is 2 years in a row. Yeah. So the split second she's like, oi, we need you back here, like I'll be on a plane. But the reality, like they're perfectly fine right now back in Perth, so they say, and therefore we're fine here.
She's the real MVP because she was pregnant during the hub season.
Yeah, no, as I've been reminded multiple times, so she was pregnant last year and I walked out on her, and then this year I've left her.
So you went to the hub. You can walk out on her.
Fella walking out on her, and then this year obviously I've left her at home with Bubs and a business to run and everything else. So, and again, the girls have got it a million times worse than me. So she's been great.
Well, it's wonderful to be able to send that message to your family, Ryan. I'll let you go and speak to your cheeky devils as your captain joins us now. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. Well, Darcy Garvin, you were giving your coach a bit of stick just there, so you've got to come in and do an interview. You are the captain. How would you summarise today's win?
You know what, the last maybe 4 or 5 games for us, they've just been gritty wins, and I'm super proud of the girls and their ability to just come out every night and keep fighting. You know, we're off the court, we've got a bit of stuff going on at the moment, so I'm just super proud of the girls every game at the moment, because we just really don't know sort of what's happening. So their ability to come and lock in and focus and keep getting wins is amazing.
You are the skipper, you're based here in beautiful Ballarat. How are you keeping this group together? Because it is emotional, stressful times. How are you keeping the group happy and harmonious?
I guess we're just trying to stick together. You know, a lot of us have been sort of in this situation before, being in the hub and that, so, you know, as much as we like to hang out and stuff, it's important people go and do their own things and have their own time. So yeah, just trying to also avoid not getting COVID, so it is quite hard because we do avoid sort of going out and mingling in the public and stuff.
Could you have recruited 2 better imports as a club?
I don't think we could have. I mean, Ryan has a pretty good record. He recruited Sammy in 2014 out here. He's recruited Emma Cannon and to the State League, so he has a pretty good record when it comes to recruiting imports, so I'm not surprised at all. But yeah, they've been absolutely amazing, and especially, you know, that Sydney game. They kind of put the team on their back and got us over the line, and even tonight Jackie was amazing again.
Opal's camp this week, exciting, Darcy. I mean, the prospect of playing in a World Cup in your home country later in the year, but of course the qualifying tournament, although we've qualified, it'll be good to get an international hit out for the Opals.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's, you know, you get goosebumps when you talk about playing for your country in, you know, your home in Sydney. So yeah, there's a few things to do first before we get there, but yeah, super excited to get to camp and yeah, do everything I can to put my best foot forward to be selected for that team to go to Serbia.
Well, you head to camp with a bit of a winning streak here at the Perth Lynx, so we wish you all the best for camp and hopefully Serbia and also for the rest of the Perth Lynx season.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Dust.
Thank you.
Perth Lynx have defeated the Bendigo Spirit 90-82. One of the stars for the Spirit today was their co-captain Tessa Lavey. Tessa, you've had a busy few days and you've got a busy few days to come.
Yeah, you're right. Congrats to Perth. They played really well tonight. But I thought our girls really stepped it up today, which is really exciting. I think we have a lot to offer. So look forward to the next game next week in Adelaide. That'll be really nice. But yeah, I'm pretty busy. So yeah, good times.
Before we get back to the Spirit, let's talk about busy. So you've been in ISO, got out of ISO yesterday in Melbourne, and headed up to Bendigo, and then you had practice.
Yeah, so pretty much been in ISO all week. And then, yeah, got up pretty early to get down to Bendigo, 9:30 start. Trained yesterday and then travelled up to Ballarat today. And then I'll travel to Melbourne tonight and then straight to the Gold Coast tomorrow morning.
And that is to play for Richmond in the AFLW, because not only are you a dual athlete, you're an active dual athlete. You're actually playing WNBL and AFLW at the same time. How is the juggle going? Is it real?
It's real, yeah. It's difficult. I only really sort of organised 2 weeks out, and then COVID on top of that. It's pretty difficult to organise my life, but I'm really enjoying the challenge. I think I have a really good balance at the moment, and it's quite refreshing going from one sport to the next. Get to switch off from one, switch on to another. So, yeah, I really enjoy that challenge of that.
Do you remember all the nicknames and names of your teammates across two clubs?
I do. I struggled the first sort of couple of months I went in at Tigerland because we had a lot of new recruits. But yeah, all over it now. But I wouldn't put me to a test, please.
And it is a crunch game for the Tigers tomorrow against the Suns.
It is. We're on equal percentage. So hopefully tomorrow we get a win, and then that'll put us in the top 6, I believe.
And then we'll see you next week against Adelaide.
Yep, we're on. Let's go.
Thanks, Lavey. We'll let you get back to Melbourne. Good luck for the rest of your travelling weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks for watching.
Love that. Tessa Lavey, a country girl too, playing for the Spirit today. And guys, it was a really spirited performance by Bendigo, but as you said, Screening, it was Perth's class that really got them over the line this afternoon.
The final margin, 8 points, Megan. The general vibe up there amongst that Bendigo Spirit group is outstanding, isn't it, really? I mean, they're resilience in a different way. And we'll talk about resilience from both sides of the equation now, because there's two different types. From Bendigo's perspective, they are down players. I mean, they built their team around Leilani, and then Leilani got pregnant and she's unavailable. Haven't been able to replace Leilani, so they've got a different type of resilience. They're fighting undermanned and doing a great job of it every week. So let's start with them. Their spirit has been impressive.
It has. I mean, it's nice that they're called that as well, but it also, when you're now on 6 losses in a row, that gets really tough and the grind gets harder and training gets harder. So it's nice that they have that camaraderie and the ability to back each other. And as we spoke about, it wasn't that they couldn't score today, it was the defensive end. But then you hear Ryan Petrie, who is never satisfied, and that's the typical coach in any sport. And you heard him talk about Perth and how he's not satisfied with their defence. So no one's satisfied at the moment.
Are coaches ever satisfied?
No.
But from a Bendigo perspective, they're just so scrappy and they hang in. And they are. Look, if you just picked up the paper tomorrow and said, oh, well, they're 1-6 or 1-7, and they're not obviously not very good, Bendigo. They're a better team than that.
They are. I mean, yes, they don't have the talent, but they have to play scrappy. They have to play with that grind and grit, and it may not be pretty most of the time when you're watching, but that's what gets it done for them. And that sometimes can put the pressure and the unorthodox way that they play against other teams. And you saw that they're hanging around a little bit. They hit those threes back to back or triples for a couple of minutes there. But, for me, Bendigo, they've got some solid foundations. It's just going to be a long, tough season for them, but hopefully they can string some wins together.
So that's resilience from the Bendigo side of things. Resilience from Perth right now is a totally different type of resilience, and we've heard Sammy and Ryan both get quite emotional talking about being away from their families and just the unknown of it. And I was on the phone with Ryan yesterday about 2:30 in the afternoon. They had a league meeting at 3, and he said to me, listen, I don't know how this meeting's going to go. If it goes badly, we might be on a plane and going home tonight. Like, their season is that kind of in the balance right now as they deal with it. Is it possible, though, they've done an amazing job at compartmentalising it. Is it possible that the court actually gives them some sanctuary? Because for those couple of hours, they're not thinking about all that other stuff. They're just focused on their job. Yeah,
they're distracted, which is a nice thing. And it makes those wins and how well they're doing, sitting second on the ladder behind the Adelaide Lightning, that more special. Because when you hear Sammy Whitcomb speak and their coach Ryan speak and how emotional they get, I sit here getting emotional for them, because you can only think what it is for them to have young family, to be away from their family, the unknown. As an athlete, you want structure, you want routine, you need to know what's going on in your world, and they don't right now. And that would be so hard for them. But the fact that they can continue to rally, they continue to support each other and give themselves time and space, because God only knows, hanging around with the same 12 girls for an unknown time can be quite hectic, let's be honest. It's really nice to see that they can come out and perform like they'd have. They've had 4 games in, less than 8 days, and play the way they do. I think Ryan could be a little bit nicer to them.
They've gone 6-2 in 4 weeks, so they're 6-2 record, and they're travelling beautifully. It's been an interesting phenomenon over the last 18 months to 2 years. The amount of teams that have actually, being away from home for such an extended period of time can do one of two things, can't it? It can either galvanise your group or it can tear you apart. And the amount of teams that have actually gone on to win championships, or maybe even overperform on what we expected, because they actually managed to somehow harness that being in a group together. Hey, we're all in this together. It's tough, it's difficult, we've just got to stick together, and we're here, we may as well win. We saw it with the Perth Scorchers in the Big Bash cricket the other night.
Yeah, we did, and we've seen the Perth Wildcats do it in the NBL. I mean, they haven't won the championship, but they're always around the mark. I just feel for the fans back home. We know how good the WA fans are, the Red Army, whether it be for the men or the women. Not being able to see your team play in your home court and in your home stadium would be really difficult, but I know that they would be, feeling the energy, even though they're on the east coast of Australia. But for me, that ability to rally, that mindset that they have has just been extraordinary, and credit to them and their coaching staff that they're just putting those performances on week in, week out.
I'd like to pick your brain on the performance of a few particular players in this game. We're going to start with Jackie Young from the Perth Lynx. Obviously, no Marina Maybury, if you're just joining us, out with a foot injury, a little bit of soreness, so that rested up. So they needed to share the offensive load a little bit more differently. She hurt her own ankle there early in the game, Jackie Young, but she came back on, played through it, finished with 24 points.
She did, and she's well above her average. We know that she's only averaging, not only, but 11 points per game, 3 assists in 27 minutes. She had some huge minutes tonight, plus 30 in that category, and her effectiveness in the pick and roll is just phenomenal. Teams are going to have to adjust how they play her. She isn't really known, or I haven't seen her yet in the round 9s that we've played in the WL, the ability to knock down that 3, but her mid-range game, phenomenal. We haven't seen that in the women's game for a while, but her ability and strength and athleticism to get to those points and go from vertical, or I should say horizontal to vertical at the speed she does, is just phenomenal. And if you're a young player watching at home, add the mid-range game to your toolbox if you can.
And Coach Ryan Petrick mentioned to us that she'd been ill at the start of the season. She's getting healthier and healthier by the week, and you can see it in her game as she's settled into playing in Australia. Said she's deceptively strong, and her ability to finish on both sides of her body is maybe underrated. It goes under the radar a little.
Oh, she is strong. If she can pull up the way she does in those jump shots, she's a strong girl. She seems calm, which is really nice. Obviously, the different end of the spectrum to Maybury, who we know comes out with that fierceness and competitiveness. Young just has that calm barometer about her, similar to Whitcomb.
Lauren Scherf's size was always going to be an issue for the Bendigo Spirit this afternoon. Bendigo undersized. Megan McKay, their tallest player, at 190. Lauren Scherf, oodles of potential, oodles of talent. And today we saw the full range of her abilities to be able to go and score from the post, be able to step out and hit the 3, even run the 4. Look, maybe not running the point. We saw her do that one. Okay, maybe that's something to work on, but she's got some tools in the toolbox.
Yeah, she's loving the opportunity she's having from Perth. She's come from Sydney Flames from last year, and you said the word potential, and Lauren has had potential for, I would say, the best part of 5 years. She has a physique, she has height, and she definitely has the capability. It's now the question of want. What does Lauren Scherf want? And I'm not sure she is ready or wants to yet go to that next step. I know she can, and I hope that playing with the likes of Sammy Whitcomb, playing with Maybury, who demand excellence day in, day out, will only help her be a better player. And then the likes of Garvin going up against her and mimicking her game as well. They're very similar, to be honest. They love the pick and pop game, but Scherf, for me tonight, I thought she was great, especially in that second half. She had 7 in the first and finished with 17 and went with 16 rebounds. You can't deny her what she did.
For Lauren Scherf, there's an opportunity in this Opals group now, isn't there?
Don't talk to me about opportunity with Lauren Scherf.
But in this Opals group now, there aren't, right now we talk about generational change, there aren't a lot of what you would term traditional, genuine talls in this Opals mix. And Lauren Scherf has got that ability to potential, a dirty word, grow into that. And we've seen Kayla George be a big that's been able to crash and bash on the inside, step out and hit the three. Kaylee's coming towards the end of her Opals journey. The chance is there for Lauren if she can grab it.
Exactly. And that's what I think a lot of people want. Sandy Brondolo, I think, wants to see that from her. And I hope that she grabs it with two hands because it is there. Tolo, Kayla Francis, Abby Bishop, she's back around the mark as well. Those girls are on the way out. They're in their 30s. There's not much time left for them. But Scherfie, she's still in those mid-20s and has that capability to stamp her authority. And that's what people want to see. But, she hopefully is one that's going to make Sandy's job hard when it comes to picking those 4 and 5 spots.
Now we're looking at players. Let's go to the other side of the equation now and talk about Bendigo. One of the real positives for them this afternoon was Maddie Garrick, who came back from missing a week after rolling her ankle last week against the Townsville Fire on last Friday night. Stepped back in, had her best game of the season, put up 18.
Yeah, I think, Maddie hasn't found her form yet at Bendigo. She's come from the Melbourne Boomers where she was in a system with Guy Malloy, very structured, and we know that she's gone onto that 3-on-3 game, loves the ball in her hand, likes the flair, needs a lot of volume and time to be effective, and today that worked well for her. She had the ability to get into the paint, but she also was draining it from deep as well. She hit, 4 of 9. I thought Bendigo was sensational from deep today, 48%, 16 of 13 across the team stats, and that was one of the main reasons they only fell short by 8 points.
Well, there's plenty more WNBL action to look forward to as round 9 continues across the weekend. There's a triple header coming your way tomorrow to Sabre, and 6 hours of live action tipping off from 12:30 Eastern. It's Sydney and Southside in the Harbour City, two teams desperate for a win to ignite their campaign. Then it's the Lightning hosting the Caps in Adelaide, the home team being the pace setters this season, while Canberra coming off a thumping win over the Flames. They'll fancy their chances, and Game 3 should be a beauty as well. The Fire host the Boomers in Townsville. These two teams played a classic last week in Melbourne. Fire stormed home from 20 points down to win a thriller. The Boomers have had a week to just stew on that result. They'll be hungry from redemption. I'll get your thoughts on all three of those. Let's start with the Flames and the Flyers.
Interesting one, because we know the Flames are struggling. They've lost another import now, which makes the job even harder for Shane Heal, his coaching cohort, and obviously the players. Shyla, there's a lot of expectation on Shyla. She's another one that's going to get to wear the green and gold in a couple of weeks, and it'll be interesting because we've never seen her at a senior level go up with it for the Opals. So I'm excited for that. But they're going to have to find some form really quickly if they're any chance for a win.
And the Flyers? Where are the Flyers at? We know they've been decimated by COVID. They're trying to get some sort of consistency in their lineup.
It's been tough. I called their game on Thursday, and we know that how undulating it's been from them, from injury point of view to the point of COVID, and now they've got 4 players out because they're going away with the Opals, but it allows opportunity. Christy Wallace, I think, has been phenomenal off the bench for them. I'm excited for her. I still think she has a possibility to push for the World Cup campaign come August, and then hopefully they'll get Amy Rochi back as well into their lineup.
The Lightning and the Caps in Adelaide?
Tough one. I mean, UC Caps, you can't deny them. They've always been a calibre team, even though it hasn't been the season they wanted. They had a sensational performance the other night against Sydney. We can't read too much into that, considering the way Sydney are playing. But for the Caps, they'll push Adelaide. But we know Chris Lucas, he's been around a long time in this league, and he will have those girls prepared, no doubt.
And then a fascinating game, the Fire and the Boomers. The Boomers so good last week. I think they put on 25 points to 9 in the first quarter. They played as well as we've seen any team play this season. And then it was a slow-moving car crash. They were 20 points up, and in the end, they lost by 2.
And that's the Boomers, right? They've done that multiple season after season. As they come out, they're spectacular, they get the job done, and then they just slowly lull into that false sense of security in the thirds or fourth quarters. And teams like Townsville, who have the depth, they have the coaching capabilities, they just come over and run over teams. And that's going to be the difference for Melbourne this year. I think they're going to be around the mark. I really want them to be in the final and